and welcome to episode 83 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answers to. I'm Sean.
And I'm Vib, and neither one of us has any clue what we're talking about.
But unfortunately, like Cordelia, our mouths are always opening and sound is coming out of them. It's never good. I really wondered where that sentence was going when I started it.
Yeah, me too, as you were reading, even though I wrote it. I got very nervous.
I was like, what the hell is he... Oh, okay. I mean, it ends badly, but it doesn't end like I thought it might.
Look, it's a quote from the earlier seasons of...
I know what it's a quote from. Sorry.
Our listeners may not. I mean, they clicked on this episode, so hopefully they've read the title. And hopefully you've put the title in the title.
Yeah. Yes, so we're sorry.
Oh, good.
My brain has to my brain has basically stalled after that intro. That's what's happened here.
Great, we've got him. We've got him, folks.
Completely sideswiped. Also, I think someone screwed with the brightness on my screen because my screen is too bright and it's hurting my eyes. Right. Anyway, yes,
I don't care about today.
We're talking Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is something we've wanted to come back to for a while, and just haven't really got round to it, which is a shame because it's amazing.
It is. I mean, we've done very few episodes on Buffy.
One?
I think just the one, right? And maybe there's sort of... Because I mean, I don't know for you, but it has been a long time since I last watched a lot of Buffy.
Yeah.
And I've sort of tried to go back to it on occasion, but there's a lot of it, you know? And in a time of plenty of other content out there.
There's a lot of it, and also, while it's entirely unimpeachable in every way, it's also sometimes quite hard to watch, just because it's like, it's very old.
It's quite old, yeah. It's quite old.
And it's really corny. In a good way.
Massively
but it is still really corny.
That said, there is a reboot in the works. Is it a reboot? Is it a sort of sequel series? Not entirely sure.
One assumes it can't be a sequel series because they fixed everything, didn't they?
Something Hellmouth 2.0. 2.0 Demonic Boogaloo. Fucking hell.
Hellpoint 2.0.
Wow, it's I'd say it's late, but this is the time we always record. Maybe that's our problem.
We do.
Maybe we'd be much more successful if we recorded at normal times. Yeah, Buffy 2.0.
That's got to stick now.
Yeah, it really is. I'm not even going to try to fix it. But there is talk of a new Buffy show. Sarah Michelle Gellar is supposedly on board, as are some other people from what I've gathered. I've not really looked into it too much. There was a bit of chatter on it recently. I think it's sort of gone relatively official. They're going to film a pilot.
I think I knew Sarah Michelle Gellar was in the mix, but I didn't realise that, like, it's just, from all that I've heard, it's just going to be her. Like, she's just coming back to play Buffy.
Yeah, even though I think she sort of famously said there wasn't any point going back, right? Because I think, same as what you're alluding to, it's kind of done, and I think she always said, like, unless they come up with something interesting for the character to do.
Yeah, I was being slightly facetious when I said they won, but, like, the character Buffy is finished. That character arc is completely complete.
Yeah, and they finished. I mean, they closed the Hellmouth. That's, I mean,
exactly.
Major spoiler alerts for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but you're nearly 20 years sort of
you're
late
so
to the party.
late. I guess very quickly, we wanted to also acknowledge that one of the stars of Buffy very recently passed away. Michelle Trachtenberg very recently passed away, which is incredibly sad. She was very young. It's
Yeah.
sad when anyone passes away. It's extra sad when it's someone who was as young as she was. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really anything else that we wanted to say on that other than that it is sad. We're trying very hard not to jump on a bandwagon, which is why we haven't written anything in the title referencing the fact that she passed or anything like that. But it bears mentioning, I think. And I think,
Absolutely.
unless you have anything to add, we shall say no more on the matter.
No, I mean, as you say, it's very sad, and our condolences to her family.
Yeah.
You know, too soon indeed. But yeah, I think, as you said before, we were quite keen to talk about Buffy.
I find it quite hard to work out what to talk about, though, because it's complete. Like,
but that's sometimes quite nice. I think very often we talk about things that are not complete and things that are quite speculative, and we get lost.
Yes, that's true.
And we lose our heads, and it all becomes a bit of a shambles, and things get thrown. Things are said that you can't ever unsay, but still mean.
Feelings get hurt.
But besides, we also talk about Lord of the Rings plenty of times, which, to all intents and purposes, is finished.
Yeah, that's an odd one, isn't it? Because I would have always said that the reason we find so much to talk about with Lord of the Rings that we don't find to talk about with Buffy is that Lord of the Rings is deeper. But I'm not sure how fair that is.
I think Lord of the Rings is more ambiguous because it isn't actually kind of finished.
That might be... But and also the medium does make a difference, right? Lord of the Rings is a book, and so there's a lot more space most of the time in books for subtext and interpretation.
And come to think of it, you're just kind of full of shit because we've talked about The Matrix, we've talked about Harry Potter, we talked about Game of Thrones, which we all know famously is over and can never come back.
They're still making Matrix films, I'll have you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about the Song of Ice and Fire. We even talked about Firefly, which is so dead.
Yeah, but we've only talked about Firefly once. There's something about...
Yes, because we're hoping it'll come back.
Yeah, that's true. Bring back Firefly.
Let's do a Firefly Buffy crossover. Let's throw the script, in so much as it exists, out the window. Let's talk about a possible Firefly Buffy crossover.
Well,
can it work?
We kind of got it. We got Nathan Fillion in Buffy.
That's true, actually. Very different vibe to Caleb than to bloody hell, Mal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mal.
I could enjoy it. Mal, yeah, all right.
I often forget that Nathan Fillion was in Buffy, and yet he's so excellent in it. But so not Nathan Fillion-esque. If you know what I mean by that.
I think that's at least big point. It's also so late in Buffy, and I find the later seasons blur far more than the earlier ones.
That's a really interesting point. I've always thought that as well. I struggle to keep the storylines straight in the later seasons, and I don't know why necessarily. It's like we're speeding to the finale, and my brain kind of just smooths over the plot somehow.
You're also, a lot of the time, it becomes... In the earlier seasons, the monster of the week and the overarching big bad are really well intertwined. Right, so there's the plot about the Master in season 1, for example, intertwines really neatly with the, oh no, there's a hell dog on campus, or our teacher's actually a praying mantis. Like, the two things kind of weave in and out of each other really neatly. By the time you get to the later seasons, I'm not convinced that's the same as true.
Because it's also less monster of the week.
That, I think, is a big part of it. Yeah, you've just got three or four episodes of Caleb being awful, which is great because it's Nathan Fillion, but you don't get the breaks in pace that allow you to deal with the excuse me, the overarching plot. Perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and because you've got characters like Spike so embedded in the show, because Angel was never quite like that. It just changes the pacing a little bit.
Angel dipped in and out. There'd be episodes with Angel, episodes without Angel. By the end, Spike is a main character.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the bad guys, just because you had Faith sort of with her little bad arc. You had Willow obviously turning evil, or well, not evil necessarily, but
You're Dark Willow.
Yeah.
But you've also, you got the mayor, though, who's an excellent villain. But I think he's probably the turning point.
He's so creepy. I think they really struggled for a little bit after him because, as you say, he was so excellent and creepy and weird as an overarching big bad evil guy.
Yeah. You spend a lot of the series with everyone talking about how terrifying the mayor is, but you've never met him. And then you meet him, and then he's the most, like, sickly Midwestern or, like, grain belt nice guy. And you're just like, what are we missing? And then at the end he turns into, like, a 2-mile long serpent and gets killed with super soakers. It's so good.
Yes, it is really good, actually.
And there is an element of that as well, I think. The earlier seasons, despite being very heavy, don't take themselves very seriously.
It's really odd, right? Because the mayor is such a... He's such a potent big bad evil guy, but he's also so... I mean, like, what is he really? He's just the mayor, right? He's out looking for a sort of dark ritual to...
He's a man chasing immortality.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
That's all he is. And it's weird that he's so much more impactful in many ways than someone like Glory, right? Who's an actual hell god.
Yeah.
And I guess Buffy ends up dying to deal with that.
Yeah, but Buffy dies like every other series. I'm not sure we can call that impactful.
It's just really odd, isn't it? I feel they kind of struggle to find any bad guys with momentum, shall we say.
Yeah. And that's why you end up in the penultimate series with Willow, I think. Because you need a bad guy who's going to cause the audience to react. And none of your villains have been landing, so you turn to Villain Willow.
That's the worst happy accident ever.
It was so bad. You turn to Willow, or one of the Scooby Gang to be your villain. To lend it some weight, I guess. It's all, yeah.
But she's only Willow for such a short time.
It's genuinely like 2 episodes.
Yeah, right.
I think
it's
Tara dies at the end of 1 episode, and then you have either 1 or 2 episodes of, I can't believe Willow is sticking, but it appears to be.
Oh yes, you've made your bed here.
Before she gives it up herself, essentially, with a little help. But
I think what's nice about that whole situation, though, is the lead up to that reveal of Willow being the big bad evil guy, as it were, in that whole season is quite well done.
Oh yeah, because it's fundamentally it's just an addiction story.
It's an addiction story, but also a grief story, right? Because you know they bring back Buffy from actual death. That whole story arc is really complicated and kind of painful to watch, but in like it's terrible TV, just
no, it's just genuinely really uncomfortable.
Exactly,
to watch.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable to watch. And then they had the whole one of my favorite arcs in all of TV, where they do the musical episode and then the amnesia episode, which somehow resolves so many things. It's almost like the writers were like, we're a bit stuck in terms of how to progress. Why don't we just really go crazy? Do these two things sequentially that seem a bit tropey and gimmicky, and yet somehow it works, as far as I'm concerned. And then before you know it, yeah, as you say, Tara dies. Does Dawn die?
No, Dawn makes it out alive. It's just Tara. It's just Tara
right?
that dies.
Yeah, and obviously Buffy and Dawn's mother died just the previous season, didn't she? But it's just such a nice little progression from, oh, this is so horrible to watch, and like this is also complicated emotionally in a way that I wasn't ready from a Buffy TV show. And then boom, you've got Willow.
But also, it's done so well, I think, because Tara dies in an incredibly shitty, mundane way. She's shot by mistake through a window.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's sort of the prevailing thing in those two seasons, right? Because Joyce, again, she also dies of, well, natural
like an
causes,
aneurysm or
effectively,
something.
right? I mean,
yeah.
And at the very, very end, we have Anya dying as well. Like, it's just...
Does Anya die?
Yeah, she dies, yeah. She dies in a fight. Well, in the fight. Yeah, it's really sad, and a lot of Buffy is just kind of sad at the end of the day.
Yeah, wait, but the thing is, it kind of should be.
I suppose that's true. Yeah,
like you're fighting vampires, and all right, by the end of the series, they've had to invent a new kind of vampire because we've been too used to Buffy chewing through vamps at 20 an episode or whatever it is.
And of course the biggest loss was Angelus all along.
Rip.
And he's not even dead.
No, it's true.
But we're not really here to talk about the big bad evil guys.
No, we've got very stuck on that. But I think it's kind of interesting in a way because it leads into the conversation that we were always planning on having.
Yeah, a riff on something we've talked about before, mostly in the context of Lord of the Rings, actually. You know,
and Game of Thrones,
I
don't think this is like a regular series.
No, especially because I ignore the Game of Thrones ones because you're so very wrong about it.
They make you so angry. It's so good. Oh, we should do.
Whatever you're about to say. No,
we should do Who's the Hero of House of the Dragon. Yes, got it in. You'd have to watch House of the Dragon first.
It's Bran, obviously. Can only be Bran. Once Bran is the hero of one thing, is the hero of all things.
That's how time travel works.
Obviously.
We should talk about Doctor Who.
We're so off the rails. We should. How have we never spoken about Doctor Who?
I don't know how much of it you've seen, and I don't know how much of it I've seen.
Everything starting from Christopher Eccleston all the way to the end of Matt Smith.
Yeah,
and I've walked a little bit. I've watched a little bit of Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, so we're in about the same place.
Yeah. Then I kind of got stuck on it. I'm not entirely sure why.
I think I finished Capaldi, but then it stopped for a long time. And then, yeah. Anyway.
Who's the hero of Doctor Who? There's a question. And why is it Amy Pond?
I'm not going to answer that.
You got him, folks.
I'm not going to answer that simply because I couldn't come up with a kosher answer. Who is the hero of Buffy?
Who's the hero of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Now, before you throw the remote control at us, A, why are you holding a remote control? It's a podcast.
B, why are you standing at my window ready to throw a remote control at me?
I've always got at least one or two people on rotation outside your window just in case a remote control needs to be thrown.
Good.
It's only prudent.
I'm glad to hear it. Wise, really. But come on, it's a bit of a daft question, isn't it?
You would think, right? I mean, okay, well, let's entertain the idea first of all then. Is there any other answer to who is the hero of Buffy the Vampire Slayer than Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes.
I agree. What's your reasoning?
Because my end game here is that the hero is actually Xander. And so I have to reverse engineer a reason based on the fact that I think the hero is Xander. There are too many
the most
people
unremarkable individual
Exactly.
of the group who still somehow manages to hold everybody together.
He's still there at the end of the day, and he's the most important person in that group.
But you know where that argument leads you, right?
I dread to think.
Well, you've written it in the script. Because if Xander is the hero, that means humanity is the hero. And yes, folks, the is actually in the script.
That's actually in the script. No, it's not. Is it? It's different, isn't it? The point isn't. We'll get to that when we get to that.
No, you're just trying to avoid the fact that I'm going to demonstrably prove that Xander being the hero is the same as humanity being the hero, and that's just not very exciting, is it?
No, I think I look forward to you demonstrating that proof later. I think the problem with Buffy as the hero of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one, it's too obvious, and we've got 40 minutes of an episode to fill. But two, it's really easy to be a hero if you've got superpowers.
Oh. Never watched The Boys, have you?
Yeah. I mean, don't Yui and Billy Butcher become better boys when they have superpowers? Nah, checkmate.
Mm-hmm. Something Homelander.
Homelander would be an excellent hero if he chose to be.
I mean, he could easily beat Superman, that's for sure. I got him again.
I don't know what your hate for Superman is, but we're going to have to spend some time there. It'll be a safe space, but we're going to have to get to the bottom of why you hate the archetypical superhero.
Sure. We'll come on to that in an episode soon. Sizzle.
Yes, be very soon. No, I mean, do you think realistically that it is Buffy? Other than the fact that it's her name on the tin.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Kind of because it is her name on the box.
It's a really strong argument, actually. Like, it sounds really facetious, but like from a from a Doyleist perspective, it's the answer.
It's just hard to get around, isn't it?
It's a show about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where she's in the most episodes of any person. Like,
and I think what we're going to end up
just
eventually to see if we can argue from either side of this, but I suspect that the outcome will be the same. Because can you say that she isn't?
I don't think she's the only.
I think that's the key thing, right? I don't know if there's only one hero in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. As a matter of fact, it's almost certain that there isn't.
She's certainly heroic. Like, I was being slightly glib. Yes, it's easier to be a hero when you have superpowers, but she also,
you never,
like we joked earlier, she died at least
twice.
Doesn't she drown at one point as well? So it's actually
in
3
season
times.
1. Right, the master drowns her, right? Am I completely making that up? No, he does, doesn't he?
No, you're right. The master drowns her in season 1.
And then she jumps into the portal in season 6?
6. I feel like there's another time. But also, like, dying twice is...
Well, no, because there's only 2 Slayers who pop into existence because she died, right? We have Faith, and we had...
Kendra?
Kendra, that's absolutely right. Who then also died, and therefore probably makes another Slayer? I mean, it gets hard because at the end there's so many Slayers that it's...
Yeah, because they slayer everyone.
Yeah. They slayer everyone. But I think that's right. I think she only dies twice. Come on now.
I think she only dies twice. But I mean, still, like, twice in 7 series is a lot.
Yeah, and as a character trait goes, that's, as you say, it's heroic that she did die because the circumstances precipitating her death were heroic ones. But also, it's a very hero concept that he didn't stay dead, you know?
Yes, it's very true. I mean, it's
very Jesus died for our sins kind of thing, you know?
I was going to say it's a very sort of supernatural-esque trope.
Those are not different things.
No, the TV series Supernatural.
Oh, right.
The actual
Those are different things.
Although, if you watch enough Supernatural, no, like there comes a point in the Supernatural series where like Death himself actually speaks to Sam and Dean and is like, you guys know that not staying dead is basically your superpower, right? Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's just by the by. I don't think you can make a compelling argument that Buffy is not the hero. I don't think it's an interesting answer, and I think there are other more interesting people to talk about who orbit around Buffy. Like,
yeah,
but it's difficult. It's really difficult to look past. Her name is literally on the title card.
Yeah, so I think we have to talk about the Scooby Gang concept, right?
Yeah.
Because in isolation, none of it works.
No, if you have any two of the three, it doesn't work. You need all three of them, really. And like
Oh, you're going to ring fence it around just three?
Well, I'd maybe throw Giles in the mix.
I was thinking Giles.
So I have a really, really tongue-in-cheek answer for why Giles is the hero, but it's because Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't actually a teen drama. It's a story about mentorship, and Giles mentors the Scooby Gang through their trials and tribulations, and in so doing enables them to do the things that they need to do. So he's the real hero.
Well, except that he fucks off halfway through.
Yeah, because he knows that what they need is the space to grow and to fail. Because he's been the training wheels.
That's apologism.
I'm a Giles apologist, and I won't apologise for that fact.
No, I think Giles is an important part. But this is why I think it becomes very hard to draw the line, right? Because Buffy, Willow, Xander, sure.
Yeah.
Giles, almost certainly an aspect.
Almost certainly, yeah.
But then you also get into your Spike, preceded by Angel. Because they really pull their weight when they need to. Well, certainly Angel. Like... Spike is maybe a bit murkier until the very end, I suppose.
Cordelia, and
she was always
like
more of a hindrance, really, wasn't she?
Yeah, but she was always there.
Yeah, but not to be helpful.
All right. A bit like a weight around their necks, but she's always there.
And she, did go to LA to help Angel, so there was definitely something good.
Yeah.
But who's the other person you mentioned?
Oz,
yeah. Not around enough, I'd argue.
No.
But when he's there, he's there. But same with Riley, right?
Yeah, Riley's the other one.
Oh gosh, can you imagine if we conclude that Riley's the hero of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I can absolutely guarantee you that we won't get there, don't worry. He's not in it enough. He's only in one season.
Yeah. Ugh. The mere thought.
And also they kill him at the end of that season, I think.
But it becomes it's difficult, right? This
is really lending weight to humanity as the answer.
Well, this is it, right? And it's so annoying. It's a bit like when I said that the hero of Game of Thrones was, spoiler alert, the Starks as a collective. This feels very similar. And I'm disappointed that it's so similar.
I don't think it's right to say that it's the Scooby Gang, however you define the Scooby Gang, because that's a bit like saying the hero of Lord of the Rings is the Fellowship. Like, there are different people. That's not the conclusion that we came to, I don't think. But I don't ever remember anything I've ever said.
And also, we never conclude anything, so...
Also that.
Because then we could get sued for having bad opinions. That's how that works, right? I mean, you tell me.
Don't want to go to jail because you disagree with 2-tier Starmer. That was a joke that will only work for a very small group of the country.
Yes. Yes, very much so.
None of
I was going to not even acknowledge that, so let's just move on.
No, if it's not really sufficient to just be a member of the Scooby Gang to be the hero.
No, I think that's right.
It might be necessary, although query whether someone like Angel is ever actually a member of the Scooby Gang, or if he's like I don't know how you describe Angel. An off to the side mercenary type.
Well, he's just a like-minded agent, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's probably fair.
A free agent, I suppose. I guess we could do a sort of exercise in thinking, right, what would happen if Buffy went away? And we obviously have real-world evidence. Real-world evidence. We have some evidence for this in the show. Things don't go well.
They keep Scoobying. But they keep Scoobying.
They keep Scoobying, but it's not hugely successful. And I think it's also sort of happening at a time where, because there was so much evil going round, everything was probably a little bit calmer. And I guess you still had Faith at that point. Actually, yeah, does Faith only come into her powers because Kendra dies? That's how that works,
no?
Because Kendra dies really early on. No?
Is Kendra not season 7?
No, Kendra gets killed by Drusilla, no?
Does Kendra get killed by Drusilla? Because Faith is the mayor.
Hang on.
No.
Yeah, no, Kendra's season 2. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Drusilla kills her. Yeah, that's right.
So do they not get a new Slayer because there's Faith?
Yeah. So Faith
Faith
replaces Kendra, and that's sort of she stays the one until the very end.
That's so confusing.
Yeah, I sort of also thought that there was somebody who popped up later. I'm trying to remember now. So is Faith helping the Scoobies when Buffy's dead?
I don't remember, because Faith is in Angel, the series, a lot. But whether or not she appears in at the start of season 6, I'm not sure.
I mean, bear in mind this is also a show that introduces a whole sister character out of thin air, and everybody's supposed to just be okay with it.
Oh, but that's so well done.
Well, yeah,
well done because it's so well done because everyone in universe is just acts so perfectly well, and you as the audience are like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then it takes like 6 episodes for them to explain, or more for them to explain it. It's so good. Man, I loved that. I loved that reveal, apart from anything else, because until the reveal, Dawn was so annoying, and I couldn't understand why she was in it, and I couldn't understand why the writers had put her in it. And then the writers explained how and why they'd put her in it, and I went, that is absolute genius. Well done.
No, I quite agree. That's one of the better pieces of long-term writing that was displayed. But coming back around to it, so I'm really trying to remember. I think the Scoobies try a little bit of
they do
vampire control, but there's not a whole lot going on, right?
Because it's post-Glory.
Yeah. It's like post-Glory, pre-Caleb, pre-Doom.
It's It's between Glory and Caleb. That whole series is between Glory and Caleb, and that's when they do all the introspection. And the big bad is basically Willow.
Yeah, and I guess also at that point, Willow is a fairly powerful witch. Is she? Start of season.
She is. She's relatively powerful, but you've got Giles and Tara telling her to slow down, stop, like calm down, don't go too fast, and she keeps going and keeps going.
There's sort of enough half-powered people, right? Because you still have the Rileys and people like Oz.
Yeah.
People like Anya.
Spike is around at that point.
Spike is around. Angel, I guess, is still kicking, so that there's maybe some suggestion that he helps out when needed in Sunnydale.
Yeah, he's probably spending most of his time in LA.
So with that in mind, then, I guess, can we refute the fact that Buffy as a sole entity is the hero? Is she that integral to...
No, because the story continues without her. The Scoobying continues without her.
The Scoobying continues without her, but they have to bring her back.
But isn't the argument that they bring her back for selfish reasons? Not because they need her to be the Slayer, but because they miss her. And they tell themselves that they need her to be the Slayer.
Yeah, because they tell themselves that she's in hell, right? And so they're like, oh, we must rescue her.
They have to rescue her, yeah.
That's true. That's true. I think it's just really hard to not... It depends on your definition of hero, which is something we always come back to, I guess. But it's really hard to take Buffy out of the equation. Whereas I think at any point in the show, you could have removed Willow or Xander.
Absolutely
Definitely
not.
Xander.
Not a chance.
As a matter of fact, you probably should have done in season 1. Just
Xander is...
kill him off screen to a praying mantis.
I mean, that would have been funny.
It nearly happened too.
That was such an odd went nowhere episode, just randomly. It's just this one episode where their substitute teacher's a giant praying mantis who lays some eggs, and then just nothing happens with that storyline ever again.
Yeah, because it's meant to be an MCU post-credit scene before MCU did post-credit scenes, right? The sort of, oh, there are some eggs.
Oh.
And then, they were probably like, cost too much CGI budget to render that mantis.
Yeah, and also it was weird, and we don't think we want to go in that direction anymore.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird, wasn't it? I really like that by and large they went to much more humanoid monsters, right? Spike and Drusilla and Angel. That was a great season when it's just the three of them.
Yeah.
Caleb, obviously. Even Glory. I mean, I know that she wasn't, but
obviously she still just looked human.
Because humanity is our worst enemy. That we can all agree on.
It's true. It's very true. I don't think you can take Xander out of the equation. I think he's completely fundamental to the group. He's the grounding influence to the group.
Only because he's a close friend of the other two. Friends move all the time. He's not integral to the Scoobying.
He's not integral to the Scoobying, but he's integral to the Scooby gang.
As a matter of fact, I think Giles would have massively approved of Xander moving on, because it would have given him what he wanted, which is an independent Buffy who can just take care of shit on her own.
Yeah, but we see an independent Buffy who can take care of shit on her own when in the alt-verse with evil Willow and evil Xander. She fucking dies. She's killed in that alternative universe because she doesn't have a team. She doesn't have people she can rely on.
Yeah,
she hasn't been humanized by Xander.
Oh, it's the storyline of that episode again. Because isn't that meant to make her think that she needs them when in actual fact she doesn't?
I don't remember why they're there. Because she doesn't go there. It's Willow and Xander that go.
But that just justifies their own thinking that they're important.
I can't remember why they're there.
I'm coming down very hard on the fact that I think it's just Buffy at the end of the day.
I mean, I think the problem is it's going to be really hard to prove you wrong. I can make lots of cases why I think it's Xander or I think it's Giles.
Are they all improved as a
Willow.
result of them being around? Probably. Improved is maybe the wrong word, but I mean, A, it would make for shit TV if it's just Buffy staking guys left, right, and center. But I think together, and this is sort of the ultimate culmination of the show, right? Where they're like, well, one Slayer is not what we need. It's like everybody, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit of Slayer power all around, and we're sorted. Which is very reminiscent of, you know, it takes what's the saying? It takes a
village to raise a child.
That's the one.
What a guess!
It's not actually the one, but I'm going to tap out. It's similar enough to what I was implying.
Can't raise a barn on your own? I don't know what you're on about now.
But I think Willow and Xander definitely just help.
Takes two to tango?
Buffy.
Anyway, sorry.
Three's a crowd?
Three's a crowd.
Welcome to Idiom Hour with Sean and Vib.
Three's a crowd. Fuck off, Xander.
Well, in your world, really, fuck off Buffy. William and Xander have got it covered. But there's always room for Giles.
There's always room for Giles. Right next to me.
But no, convince me then. I maintain Buffy on her own does it. Just handles it.
I think the problem is if you have Buffy on her own, she doesn't. You need Giles.
Well, yeah, you need the librarian.
You need the Watcher.
The Watcher. Thank you very much.
But
I should have written some words down so I remembered what language I speak.
We see other Watchers, right? We see Wesley Wyndham-Price, or I forget the name of the woman who is Kendra's Watcher. I think Kendra's Watcher. Maybe?
No, that presumably would have been
Faith's
Wesley.
Watcher.
Oh.
Is Wesley? Anyway, there's some woman Watcher as well, and neither of them are nearly as effective as Giles is because they're operating at arm's length. I think Giles's gift is the bond he builds with Buffy, fundamentally, and with the Scoobies as a whole, including with Xander. Albeit that his bond with Xander consists of telling Xander, please just stop being you. So I think it's, yeah. I don't think it's enough to say, oh, Giles is necessary because he's a Watcher, so that disqualifies him, because there are so many different ways in which that role can be done, and the role that Giles takes is far more than just Watcher. He's essentially a father figure to that group. But not just a father figure, but more of a sort of, well, mentor, like I said. And if we think that Buffy is actually a story about leadership and mentoring, then it revolves around Giles. No, I don't think that is actually what Buffy is about, but you could characterize the show in that way because it's all about Giles molding these young people for the world that they're going to have to face. And if you look at it that way, he is the hero because he does that so effectively.
So you've argued yourself out of your point that Xander is the hero.
Well, no, that's my tongue-in-cheek point that it's Giles, because Buffy isn't actually a show about mentorship and leadership and molding young people. It's a show about killing vampires.
No, but I like it, because I was thinking very similar things.
I think a lot of it probably comes down to how old you are and where you are in your life. Like, as a kid, or as a teenager, Giles was fine. He was the stuffy old librarian character who was occasionally relatively witty. Thinking about it now, massively changes the way I think about Giles's role.
Yeah.
It's so much more important, but I think that's because of how old I am and how I see the world relative to how I saw the world when I was 16. Or
Oh, be
however old I
honest,
was.
you just like Ripper.
Also, yes, give me my Ripper TV show.
We do want our Ripper TV show, to be fair. No, but I think you make an important point, and it speaks to, and I think this does canonically happen at some point, right? That Xander becomes a Watcher, because I think Willow and Xander are sort of in they're like almost Watchers in training. Xander arguably more so than Willow, because Willow's got power in her own right. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's a witch. So there's a really nice aspect to all of that. I just, sometimes at its most basic, I remember so many episodes where Buffy will be elsewhere, and then Willow, Xander, and Giles, and whoever it may be, are just in heaps of trouble, and are only saved because Buffy shows up and kicks some ass.
True, but no, all right. There's no but there. That is absolutely a true statement. That is an overused plot in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy is busy doing something else, probably with Angel or whatever. So Giles, some combination of Giles, Willow, Xander, Cordelia, Oz,
Jenny.
Dawn,
Let's not
etc.
forget about poor Jenny.
Jenny, exactly.
Rest in peace.
Get in over their heads and have to be bailed out by Buffy and Spike or Angel. Basically.
Pretty much, yeah. You need somebody with some supernatural oomph to come in and save the situation. Which, I mean, again, it's a TV show. That's sort of what you signed up for, right? That's what you want to see.
I did sign up to see at least 3 vampires staked on screen every episode.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
And that really cool
what
effect.
It said on the box.
Like, for the 90s, that sort of turning to dust effect was really good, I thought. I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe I'll change my opinion. It's also part of the reason why I'm so loath to go back to Buffy sometimes, because I think some of that magic will be shattered.
I reckon don't watch it in 4K. That's going to be my recommendation. Not with any evidence. I just don't think I don't think it would hold up.
I think we'd be surprised.
Probably. I usually am.
But if we're sort of ascribing relative heroism to our cast, it's hard to not give the majority to Buffy, I think, still.
I don't know. I come back to, all right, you make a fair point about the boys, but it's really easy to be heroic when you've got superpowers.
I don't know if it is.
Xander just keeps turning up. He's got no superpowers at all.
Well,
he's just
that
a
in
bloke.
and of itself is a superpower.
No, it's not. That's not the absence of a thing is not the thing. Don't be dense.
In certain cases, it can very well be.
Shut up.
Oh, we've not had a shut up on the show for a while. And it only comes out when you can't refute me any other way.
No, because you're going to say something really stupid.
Yeah, Xander's lack of heroism is his heroism.
No, Xander's lack of superpowers is his heroism.
That's too obvious.
You can't say he lacks heroism when he's there.
Did I stutter?
He's the one at most risk.
Did I stutter? He's never at any risk. No one's ever going to go after him. That's his talent. It's like Pippin.
To be rescued.
Yeah, let's go closer to Isengard. It's the last thing they'll expect. Xander with the stake is on no demon's Cluedo card.
That was an unexpected metaphor.
You're welcome.
It's completely ruined me.
Got him the third. Nice. My job here is done, folks.
Xander with the stake.
No, I'm being facetious. But it's just we could have agreed, I think, 5 minutes in that you need at least the 3, probably with Giles, for it to work.
So what about? I think you're probably right. But what about someone like Spike or Angel.
Yeah.
Maybe Angel, because Spike's chip makes things a bit complicated.
But both have the same problem in some ways, right? It's not hard to be a hero when you've got special powers, as it were.
Well, they've got the Buffy problem in that case.
Exactly, they've got the Buffy problem. I wonder with Angel, though, I don't know if it's ever discussed, I can't remember. His soul, where does it reside when it's not, like, when he's evil Angel?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because if his soul...
Hell?
If his soul's in heaven, then he's a bit like dead Buffy, right? It's terrible. But then him sticking around, I think, is commendable. If his soul's in hell, yeah, then it's in his interest to never kick the bucket,
or
right?
does he not know? Maybe I should probably watch Angel, but one wonders if the answer is when the soul is in Angel's body, he doesn't know.
Yeah, but I guess... Yeah, maybe he doesn't know, yeah.
Because the soul is distinct from the bit that does the knowing.
Yeah, and he can't
maybe
relinquish the body. But he also doesn't sort of say, oh, just stake me, you know?
No, he doesn't.
And then Spike sort of... Well, yeah, with the chip, as you say, it's a bit different. I also can't really remember what happens to Spike in the end. Doesn't he actually get his... Like, what happens to him at the very, very end?
He starts doing positive acts. So the chip stops him from doing evil.
Yeah, but
causing harm.
He gets his actual soul back at some point, right? A la Angel.
I don't remember. I think you're right, but it's a long time since I watched the last season.
I vaguely remember he makes some kind of deal? Am I thinking about that right? I can't...
Because he ends up... He's pivotal in the final fight. He's got that funny medallion thingy.
Yeah.
Which they need.
Yeah, the sunbeam. It's very Die Another Day, isn't it?
Yes, it's a bit on the nose, really. I don't know. I feel maybe he does lose the chip.
Oh, yeah. He goes to a demon who restores his soul after a series of brutal tests.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've only got vague recollections of that. But, yeah, so Spike doesn't really get the chance to be heroic, as it were, until that point, kind of just being strung along. But I think Angel is an interesting one, right?
Because Angel could just go and be a hermit with his soul.
Exactly, but we meet him when he's already kind of vampire hunting.
He's a gentle vigilante.
A gentle vigilante was also not on my bingo card for things that were going to come up today.
Gentle's probably not the right word. But he's doing a very, very light amount of vigilanteing. I'm getting really stuck on arguing that it's not Buffy. It's really hard.
No, I think we have to agree that it's the trio at the very least.
It's either Buffy or it's the trio.
Because as you say, it's also really hard to get away from the fact that Willow, Xander, and Giles, and many more examples, continue the fight when they have nothing to back them up. Right? They just have themselves and a reason.
True. That's really hard to argue.
Because, I mean, the show is called Buffy the Vampire Slayer because, it's got a character called Buffy in it and she is a vampire slayer. Because I think Buffy the Vampire Slayer and her Scooby gang of normies it's not a very enticing title now, is it?
But it's not called, the Vampire Slayers of Sunnydale.
Yeah, because they're not technically slayers. and that would have given the ending away.
The vampire hunters of Sunnydale.
They could have just called it Sunnydale.
Yeah, but that's the point. They could have done it. I think it has to be Buffy, because Buffy's your framing device, and I say it's very easy to be a hero when you have superpowers, but my God, doesn't she suffer for it?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
She suffers for it and is traumatized by it and wrestles with it and what it means to be herself when she's got that destiny hanging over, and all of those things that make any other argument really difficult to sustain.
Well, yeah, that's a good point,
Sadly.
actually, because in the very beginning, she does not want to answer the call, right?
Well, she tries to not answer it in the film, doesn't she? I think. I've never actually seen the film, but my understanding is that she tries to not be a Slayer.
Yeah, which
And then
is bad for everybody involved.
Mm.
Okay, well, I guess you heard it here first. The hero of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I tell you what, I bet you no one who started listening to this episode thought that's where we would end up.
No.
They probably all started it going, well, of course it's Buffy, but what are these two idiots going to say? So we continue to subvert expectations, which I'm very proud of.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that I actually landed on Buffy early on. That's some terrible phrasing. I thought you'd put up more of a fight for Xander, but even you didn't quite have the sort of wherewithal to deliver it.
I find Xander the most inspiring of the trio. I think that might be the distinction.
Ah, that's such an annoyingly good thing to say.
Because he's us. That is, I come back to this argument with basically everything that I engage with. The person who's most inspiring is the person who is not special but chooses to do the thing anyway, and that is Xander, fundamentally. Because he doesn't have Giles's knowledge or Buffy's strength or Willow's magic or Spike's.
Yeah, but we're just coming so dangerously close to humanity. Blah.
Which is why I wrote it there, because Xander is...
He's all of us.
The ultimate...
It's just that he's in some ways unfortunate that his best friend makes friends with the Vampire Slayer, and so therefore if he wants to have any friends at all, at least in the minds of a teenager, you're kind of there, right? You're kind of stuck with it, unless you become a gang of wolf.
Also, he fancies Buffy.
He also fancies Buffy, yes. I mean, at that point, he fancies literally anything that walks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think the natural continuation of Xander as the hero is, any human that answers the call,
But isn't that good? Isn't that a good conclusion? Aren't you proud
lame.
that that's where we've got to again?
No, I mean, it is good, right? And in a world where there's a lot of uncertainty, knowing that there are people who will always answer the call is good.
And remembering that humanity can be inspiring, that we are capable of this sort of thing, of those sorts of choices, that is important.
Okay, no, we cannot, no. We're already going to shock people by saying Buffy is the hero of Buffy. We can't go on by ending on humanity being great and wonderful. I won't allow, I can't have it.
Having the potential for greatness.
Yes, and ending up in a fascist universe. That's humanity in a nutshell. The potential's always there, and we fuck it up. There you go. That's more like it.
And I guess on that bombshell.
I guess on that bombshell indeed. Thank you for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated. No doubt we've said some things that were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know, rate the podcast wherever you can, check out our Patreon for bonus content, and come chat to us on our Discord.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes. And if you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense.